Congratulations on listing your products and well done on getting your first website visitor. I guess you're after more than just one visitor, aren't you? If that's the case, watch this video, I'll show you how to get more of them. Before we start, however, I have to warn you, it's very easy to give Google all your money and have nothing to show for it at the end. However, don't worry, I'll talk you through step by step on how to bring interested customers to your store without bankrupting yourself. We will talk about the basic Google Ads setup, and I'll give you my top tips on how to avoid wasting money with Google Ads. First things first, you will need to create and launch your first ad campaign, either in Google or Meta. The big question though is, what type of campaign and how to configure it. If you decide to start with Meta, I'll have to direct you to Ben Heath's YouTube channel. You can find him at Ben Heath. He specializes in Facebook ads and has plenty of good content on the subject. I'm only saying this because I didn't have any personal success stories with Meta advertising and I'm still trying to figure it out for myself. However, what makes me qualified to talk about Google Ads is the fact that I spent £125,000 on them and got some really good results. So, starting with Google, make sure all your products are correctly synced from your store by either the Google channel or Shopify application like Multi-Feeds or Data Feed Watch. Next, log into your Google Merchant Center to make sure you don't have any unapproved products that could potentially harm your account reputation or maybe even get you banned. Also, before creating your first ad campaign, make sure that tracking is set up correctly on the order confirmation page. This is very important, otherwise Google will have no information on whether people have actually purchased the product or not. This step is critical and you won't be successful without it. Your website will need to pass both the conversions and conversion value so that Google understands exactly what happened after they sent you the visitor. The good news is that Shopify is now migrating to app-based integrations and you won't need to insert the JavaScript code yourself anymore. The apps will do it on your behalf. Once all of that is in place, you're finally ready to create your first advertising campaign in Google Ads. The easiest thing to do is to start a shopping campaign. This will also give you the most information. You won't. Google will try heavily to guide you to the Performance Max campaign type, but you don't want to do that to begin with. The reason is, Performance Max is a bit like AI. It does things underneath the covers, but it doesn't really tell you what it's done or why it's done it, and you won't really have any data about keywords or the ability to change your ad targeting very much. Contrast that with a shopping campaign that will show you what keywords you're ranking on and allow you to add negative keywords that are just wasting your budget. Speaking of budget, don't go overboard and take it easy. There's time. I suggest a very low budget of £2, £3, maybe £5 a day to start with, just to see what the impressions look like and what the click-through rates look like. This way you will be able to act quickly in case of an obviously wasted budget. This will also give Google enough data about conversions that will be very useful further down the line when it comes to increasing your budget. Speaking of data, the only thing you should be worried about at this stage is actually getting that data. Data about competitors, data about what your products perform like, what the cost per click looks like, what the click-through rates look like, and what your overall competitive position is. This is called impression share. It indicates how much more potential there is in the existing traffic. However, be warned, some auctions are not even worth being in. In my store we have a line of organic sweets, but we lose money when we sell them through Google Ads. The average order value is just too low to justify the cost per click. Also, some products have incredibly high cost per click, like liposomal vitamins. A single click can cost you £3. You would have to have an amazing conversion rate or a very good customer lifetime value for it to be justified. The game bigger advertisers play is the customer lifetime value game, where they expect to make a loss on the initial customer acquisition, but that the customer will then come back and spend more money in the future, bringing them up to a profit. Some larger companies lose money on advertising just because they can afford it or they have investors backing them. People like us who bootstrap their companies with their own money don't have such a luxury. Anyway, back to the data. You'll need to understand the vocabulary used in online marketing before you have a chance of success. The first important term is impressions. This is how many times your ad was shown to anyone. The second important term is clicks, which is quite obvious, the number of times someone clicks on your ad. Click-through rate is a ratio between the two. It divides clicks by impressions. A high click-through rate means that your ad is interesting. A low click-through rate will mean that the products are just not interesting or maybe the price is too high. The next important metric is cost per click. Obviously, the lower the better, but in reality this is defined by the marketplace, meaning your competitors, and you can't do much to change it. Finally, two of the most important metrics are conversion and conversion value. Every time someone clicks on your ad that actually buys, this is counted as a conversion. How much they spent is counted as a conversion value. These two things will inform the most important metric of them all, which is ROAS. The final and most relevant indicator is conversion value divided by cost, otherwise known as ROAS, that is return on ad spend. This is where you can go wrong really easily. Some people think that if you get a ROAS of 100% that you break even or even make a profit, but this could not be further away from the truth. You would have to get your products for free and don't pay any transaction or fulfillment costs for it to be the case. Assuming a 50% gross margin, you will need a ROAS of between 250 to 300% to break even on the first purchase. The exact figure depends on your fulfillment cost and your tax structure. ROAS is also a function of your website performance, the conversion rate and the average order value. Coming back to ROAS, why would anyone just want to break even on their ad spend? Don't we want to generate profits? Of course we do, but we're playing a long game here. This game is called the customer recruitment. Even if you don't earn any profit on the customer's first order, now you have a customer. Hopefully your products are good enough that the customer will return and allow you to get some profit from the next order. You will need to keep reminding customers about you and give them a reason to come back. For this reason, data capture is crucial. You will need to build an email list from day one. For larger and more mature stores, email marketing will count between 30 and 40% of the revenue. If your data capture rate is not good enough, you might miss out on all this potential profit. Coming back to ads, some people want to go even faster and acquire customers at a loss. In that case, it's a balancing act of how long you're willing to wait before breaking even. For larger players, this makes more sense than for startups. And now, onto my top tips on how to avoid losing money with Google Ads. First of all, track everything. Keep a daily log of new customers and their spend and write that alongside the ad spend for the previous day. After the 2024 changes in tracking, you will have to do a lot of homework before you can make sense of the advertising metrics. That is because the analytics cookies are no longer reliable and the metrics you see in Shopify can be really way off. The second thing you'll need to do is to calculate your break-even ROAS that you can operate on. This can be quite simple. All you'll need to do is to calculate your gross margin and fulfillment costs, assuming you have no other fixed costs at this time. It's a bit funky around the VAT aspect and can give you an unexpectedly high number. I created a spreadsheet for the ROAS calculator. You can get it for free. Just use the link in the description below. Tip number 3 is don't get carried away and actually operate on a higher ROAS at the beginning. This way you will have some money left over in your pocket and feel like this model is working. Slow and steady is the name of the game at the very beginning. Tip number 4 is more tactical. It's about narrowing down how Google targets your ads. By only showing your ads to people who are physically in the country you're targeting, you eliminate wasted spend and prevent your ads showing to people in other countries. By default, Google will also show your ads to people who are interested in the country but live abroad. You can find this section in your campaign settings. Tip number 5 is to disable search network and display network so that your ads are never shown on low quality websites. Tip number 6 is to stay on top of your cost per click. Remove products with the most expensive cost per click from your feed, unless you have a really good gross margin on them. And number 7 is to avoid complexity at all costs. Remember, this is a marathon and not a sprint, so there's no need to use all of the advanced features in Google Ads. They won't make a meaningful difference to your results when you're operating on a smaller scale. Once you have successfully run your shopping campaigns for some time, you can consider creating a brand campaign. A brand campaign is a search campaign targeting people who have already heard of you, so it shouldn't cost you too much to bring them to your website. Avoid bidding too high for these keywords. Speaking of which, that's tip number 8. Remember, Google will gladly take all the money you're willing to give it. Unlike other platforms, in 2017, Google changed the rules so that it will actually charge you the highest bid, even if the second highest bid was half the price. Hey, at least it makes my Google shares go up. To wrap up, after this initial stage, you should be able to calculate your key business metrics much more precisely. You will have an idea if you should grow slowly or quickly. If you get stuck doing any of these things, feel free to book a call with me and I'll help you out. The link is in the description below. Until the next one,